Alright guys, apparently the beta, the data is bad. Oh man. Wow. Alright. Can everybody hear me? Alright everyone, this is Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector. And I've been having a lot of technical problems in the last 2 days. First of all, yesterday, my my Reddit account was deleted. And then, after that, Twitter starts locking me out of my account all day. And now I'm trying to stream, and it just doesn't seem like it's working. Can you guys let me know if you are hearing me or seeing me, or if it's any better than it was a few minutes ago? In the chat. Yes, okay. You guys, I am going to paste the new link. Okay. Great. I'm just going to go ahead and test this link, you guys. I want to make sure that it's the right one before I send it out, because it's what YouTube gave me. The right one before I send it out. Oh, sweet. Okay. Awesome, you guys. God. I'll tell you what. This is some stressful stuff. Wow. Okay, guys. Man, I got like 10 or more notifications saying that it's not working. I just got to put my phone down, you guys. All right. Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this is Friday Night Live. Please do me a favor. Share that working link on your social media platforms. Get that out for me, because I got to put my phone down. I can't keep looking at it. Okay, so as I was saying, not that I use Reddit, but I have a Reddit account so that I can go in and take a look at things. And my Reddit account was just deleted yesterday. I was walking down the street. I haven't posted anything on there since I started posting videos. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, your Reddit account has been deleted because you broke the rules. But they don't tell you the rules that you broke. They don't tell you what you did wrong. There's no notification in my email. There's nothing. My account's just gone. And then the last 2 days on Twitter, every single time I try to go send a message to somebody or I try to send a tweet out, it tells me that my account is locked and that I have to verify my email. And so I have to hit a button that, saying that I want to verify it, and then it takes me right back to the beginning again. I got to do that like 10 times each time before I want to post anything. All right, you guys, I do want to test something right now. I want to test muting my mic and hitting my vape, okay? So please, everyone, tell me if you hear me vaping. Did you just hear me vape? That's awful. Please tell me if you just heard me hitting my vape, you guys. No, great. Thank you so much. All right. So, we're going to be going through some news. I just wanted to tell everyone all the technical issues that I've been having. So my Reddit account gets deleted, my Twitter account gets locked out, my stream, there's no data. I have a gigabit fiber connection here, you guys. All right. So, hear your own vaping. So, I have plenty of bandwidth, all right? And there is no other thing running on the internet here, all right? It is just me. Leggy Beast, man, I'm glad you made it. So, yeah, I'm dangerous. I must be dangerous. Did you guys see that I was in the Washington Post earlier today? I got an email. You know what? All of this coincided with me getting an email from the Washington Post from this guy writing an article. He went to search for Ruth Bader Ginsburg on YouTube, and he sees 2 of my videos in the top 5. All right? So he sends me an email, and he's like, "Hello, from the Washington Post. Just wanted to, write a story about this fact that your videos are right up there in the top when you search for RGB or RBG." And, okay, you guys, yeah, I am gonna... How many people do we have in here, mods? So, yeah, he wanted to talk to me. He wanted to interview me. And I just didn't answer because every time I see a YouTuber get covered in the Washington Post, they immediately, they get messed up, okay? Their channels get taken down. Something horrible happens to them. Well, hey, Florida Sunsprite. So there has definitely been a lot of really weird things happening. Yes, no, I definitely said no. I totally said no. But here's the thing. They put the article out anyways, and they put a picture of a screen cap of YouTube, and my video was right there in the top 5. So I'm wondering how much it all has to do with one another. Am I being blocked? Am I being deleted? Am I being censored? And is the Washington Post contacting me? Are these things all happening at the same time? Yeah, I saw that Archangel Gabriel got banned, and I don't understand why. All he did was post really, inspirational things, beautiful images. I can't understand why they would block Archangel Gabriel. Doesn't make any sense to me. All right, guys. Well, let's get into some news here. Let's get into some news. What do we want to talk about? There's something right here. This is the first thing I want to talk about. They are probably tracking me by my email, Brent. I would not doubt it. I would not doubt it. There's really nothing I can do about it, you know? I mean, like, it's already out there. Hopefully, they don't dox me. I don't want my face out there because I want to be able to do this and not have to worry. It's already stressful enough having to worry about going live or, getting my videos out on time. I got a full-time job, you guys. I got other stuff to do today. Yes, Brent, we are going to be doing some Q stuff. But first, before we do Q, I want to talk about the exclusive reveal of the Lisa Page transcripts. Do you guys realize this? Transcripts of Lisa Page's closed-door testimonies now provide new revelations into the Spygate scandal. This is going to be big. Real big. This is from the Epoch Times. Well, transcripts of 2 closed-door testimonies by Lisa Page, the former Assistant General Counsel at the FBI, have provided new insights into the actions of the FBI, the DOJ, and others, including CIA Director John Brennan, regarding their investigation into Donald Trump. Included in the transcripts provided to the Epoch Times is information suggesting that Brennan was aware of the so-called Steele dossier in early August 2016, and that he included information regarding the dossier in a briefing given to then-Senator Harry Reid. Other key points in Page's testimony before Congress. Yes, if everyone could please retweet the new working link, I would so appreciate it. I'm going to try to do it while I'm on the phone right now. Let's see. The FBI appears to have considered investigating Trump for obstruction of justice before and after Director James Comey was fired. Page says the DOJ refused to pursue gross negligence charges against Hillary Clinton over her use of a private email server used to send classified information. FBI agent Michael Gaeta, head of the Eurasian Crime Squad, who received the dossier from former MI6 spy Steele in July 2016, is referred to in the transcript as Steele's handler. The FBI maintained a previously unknown verification file for the Steele dossier. Congressional investigators did not previously know of its existence. John Carlin, the head of the DOJ's National Security Division, was kept abreast of the FBI's investigative activities through contact with then Deputy Director McCabe. Page worked directly for DOJ official Bruce Orr for at least 5 years and had met his wife Nellie once. The role of FBI agent Jonathan Moffa and DOJ George Toscas may have been greater than initially assumed. All right, you guys, before I continue, I'm just going to try to share the link to this video. Please bear with me. You have been re-notified? You haven't been re-notified. Ugh. No, that's not it. Tweeted link twice. Yeah, Barbara, I know. They are really, really holding me down right now. Only 9 people in the chat, really? We got 103 watching right there. All right, let me see. Share. Copy. Here is the new link, guys. And let me share this on Twitter. Tweet. Okay. Here we go. The role of FBI agent Jonathan Moffa and DOJ official George Toscas may have been greater than initially confirmed. The interviews with Page were conducted by congressional lawmakers on July 13th and 16th, 2018, in an unclassified setting with the appropriate agency counsel present to ensure that classified information did not enter into the unclassified setting. Page testified that she joined the team of special counsel Robert Mueller around May 18, 2017, and that FBI agent Peter Strzok was considered for inclusion shortly thereafter. Page's role was to bridge the gap and transition between what we as a team knew and the evidence that we had gathered to date on the collusion investigation, and sort of imparting that knowledge to the new special counsel team. Paige, who acknowledged her personal relationship with Stroke at several points during the interview, noted that initially Stroke was not brought over as the senior executive to run the investigation. Another individual was, but that was not successful. It was a good match with Mueller, not a good match. He did not really have the sufficient counterintelligence background to be effective. That individual would later be identified as John Brown. Paige agreed to work for a 45-day trial period, but at the end of that time, she left to spend more time with her children by her own account. Paige left of her own volition, and before Inspector General Michael Horowitz notified Mueller and then acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe of the text between Paige and Stroke. Paige noted that she only traveled abroad once while she worked for McCabe in December 2016, an official business in London. That official business in London was posted, if I'm not mistaken, by Q. No, it's not working. Georgia Peach. Prior to her work with FBI Director Andrew McCabe, Paige worked within the DOJ, where Bruce Orr was her direct supervisor for 5 to 6 years. Paige also met Nellie Orr, Bruce Orr's wife, at a summer barbecue that Orr held for the office in 2011. One particularly interesting bit of information is that Paige read the memos written by then FBI Director James Comey almost in real time. As she stated in testimony, I reviewed most of them within a day or so that they were created. According to Paige, others who were privy to Comey's memos, including 4 FBI officials, Jim Rybicki, Mr. McCabe, Mr. Gaddis, maybe Mr. Bowditch. Just tweeted a possible solution to this problem. You can change the email, at least tied to Twitter. Okay. Stroke did not have access to Comey's memos. McCabe also kept memos which Paige reviewed, including 1 or 2 that pertained to meetings with President Donald Trump. During questioning, it became apparent that the McCabe memos were relevant to the matters that the special counsel is investigating. Paige steadfastly maintained that there was no bias present in either the Clinton email investigation or the Trump-Russia investigation on the part of anyone within the FBI or the DOJ, and went to some lengths to illustrate that, in general, FBI personnel don't like most of the people they tend to investigate. At the same time, Paige repeatedly and openly admitted to placing a greater emphasis and weight on the Trump-Russia investigation than the Clinton email investigation. If you were weighing resources with respect to which poses a graver threat to national security, which is more frankly important, there is no doubt, at least in mine or anybody else's mind that I know, that the Russia investigation posed an incredible threat to national security, and whether we got into the Wiener laptop simply did not. I would have to totally disagree with that. How could she not believe that there would not be some incredible revelation that would be found on the Wiener laptop? All right? She knew, okay, the only thing that she cared about was going after Donald Trump. That was it. Simply it. Paige returned to this topic several times. The notion that there might be more emails that have not previously been seen that existed on Hillary Clinton's email server just simply didn't even enter into the realm on the same room of seriousness. Really? You gotta be kidding me. Lisa Paige knows exactly what was at stake with the Hillary Clinton emails. She knew from the very get-go, okay? They had an agenda from the very beginning. It was get Trump. Get Trump. In the assessment of the Counterintelligence Division, they still don't even come close to the threat posed if Russia had co-opted a member of a political campaign. Although Paige admitted to a personal dislike for Trump, she also admitted to a less than favorable view of Hillary Clinton, noting that she did not like then-candidate Trump. She wasn't particularly fond or favorable towards Secretary Clinton. Paige summed her position up thusly. I mean, given a Trump-Clinton race, yes, I was supporting Clinton, but I was not a particularly big fan of hers. The role of FBI agent John Maffa, currently a deputy assistant director at the Federal Bureau of Investigation, may have been greater than previously understood. Paige noted that most of the FBI personnel involved in the Clinton-Trump-Russia investigations were separate from each other. They worked on one investigation or another. Stroke and Maffa, both from the FBI's Counterintelligence Division, worked on both investigations, as Paige noted. Really, it's the people that met with Jim Comey. Those are the only people that were really the same with respect to both teams. So it's the same general counsel, the same deputy general counsel, me, Mr. McCabe, Dave Bowditch. The EAD for National Security Branch changed, but that was just because of regular personnel turnover. Bill Priestap was the same. Pete was the same. John Maffa was the same. But other than that, all the rest of us were personnel. To the best of my knowledge, there could have been one or two, but all of the rest of the personnel on the Clinton team and the Russian team were different. All right, just a recap for anybody who's just joined us. We are reading through the Lisa Page closed-door testimony that was just released. DOJ influence. Page also repeatedly noted a tension between the FBI and DOJ, noting that the DOJ was far more cautious in their approach to matters and was ultimately responsible for the decision not to prosecute in the Clinton case. Another aspect that developed in the dynamic between the DOJ and the FBI was pressure from the department to place additional people into the FBI's investigation. Page noted that as soon as the planning started to begin to interview some of the more high-profile witnesses, not just Mrs. Clinton, but also Huma Abedin, Cheryl Mills, Jake Sullivan, and her sort of core team, the department wanted to change the structure and the number of people who were involved. In particular, David Loffman, a Deputy Assistant Attorney General and head of counterintelligence for the DOJ's National Security Division at the time, pushed extensively to be present for the higher-profile interviews. As Page noted, this quickly spiraled into a problem for the FBI. Once we started talking about including David, then the U.S. Attorney's Office also wanted to participate in the interviews, although they had participated in virtually none by that point. And so then the U.S. Attorney's Office was pushing to have the AUSAs who were participating in the Clinton investigation also participate. So you had the people from the Clinton investigation, okay, the people who did nothing on the Clinton investigation. Then you have the ongoing Trump-Russia investigation, and they merged those investigations. So you had people that did not want to investigate Clinton. You had people that were doing nothing, okay, but they have a purpose now. They have a purpose to take down the president. And so all of a sudden, we were going from our standard 2 and 2 to this burgeoning group of people. Apparently, Loffman felt so strongly that he went to his boss, George Toscas, the Deputy Assistant Attorney General in the National Security Division, who then approached Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe. The DOJ's ongoing influence was felt in other ways as well. Cheryl Mills and Heather Samuelson, both fact witnesses, were allowed to attend Hillary Clinton's, Hey Q fam, love hanging out with you and Red Pill 78, even if we're in tech difficulty. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Everybody who's here is a real trooper as far as I'm concerned, because the deep state is seriously got me in their sights. Do not want me to be on the air. The decision to allow attendance of fact witnesses during Clinton's interview came from the DOJ, although Page said she was not certain who had made that decision. She noted that the FBI protested the move but were overridden, so the decision must have come from a senior level within the DOJ. Thanks again, Florida Sunsprite. Are you drinking a glass of Cabernet? As Page noted during her testimony, there were lots and lots and lots of disagreements between the FBI and the department. One issue of ongoing contention was the Clintons' actual email server. To anybody who's just joining, not a problem if you're late. We had some serious technical difficulties, but now it's working. Oh, look at this. Everybody, I want you to say hello to my newest moderator. I also want to say that I will be appointing some new mods tonight. So after I'm done with this article, we'll go ahead and have a little lottery. There was a great deal of discussion between the FBI and the department with respect to whether to proceed, obtain the server which housed the bulk of Secretary Clinton's emails pursuant to consent or pursuant to a subpoena or other compulsory processes. So they definitely talked about it. They knew what a big deal this was. And the reason they didn't want to go after the server is because they were fully aware of what was going to be on it. Once they had that server in their hands, they were going to be in the position of having to take action on it, right? They couldn't just have Hillary Clinton's homemade bathroom email server finally get it and then not be able to, not do something about it. There were, I think, months of disagreement with respect to obtaining the Mills and Samuelson laptops. So Heather Mills and Cheryl Mills and Heather Samuelson were both lawyers who engaged in the sorting. Once it had been identified that Secretary Clinton had these emails, I'm guessing it's pursuant to the FOIA request, but I don't really know. Our understanding is that she asked her two lawyers to take the bulk of the 60,000 emails and to sort out those that were work-related from those which were personal, and to produce the work-related ones to the State Department. They did so. That 30,000 is sort of the bulk of the emails that we relied on in order to do the investigative technique, whether we found other emails a jillion other places. We, the FBI, felt very strongly that we had to acquire and attempt to review the content of the Mills and Samuelson laptops to the extent the other 30,000 existed there. That is the best place that they may have existed. Hello, everyone. How many people do we have now? And notwithstanding the fact that they had been deleted, we wanted at least to take a shot at using, forensic recovery tools in order to try to ensure that, in fact, the sorting that occurred between or by Mills and Samuelson was done correctly. What kind of an investigation allows the people to be under investigation to do the own investigating? Does that make any sense to you guys? It makes absolutely no sense. According to Page, the ongoing dispute with the FBI ran from February through March-ish of 2016 to June of 2016. Page also noted that other critical factor in the investigation. The FBI cannot execute a search warrant without approval from the Justice Department. And Loretta Lynn made sure that there was no approval from the Justice Department. In fact, they declined to approve anything. Page noted that this issue regarding the laptops rose to the head of the OEO, the Office of Enforcement Operations, which is the unit at the Justice Department who would have to approve a warrant on a lawyer because, of course, these were all lawyer laptops. It rose to that individual. It rose to George Toscas over the course of his 3 months or so. Yes, Cheryl Mills, who they gave immunity. Toscas will also come up in the section below relating to his boss, John Carlin. Equally important, the issue, at least once, rose even higher. I think that even Director Comey may have had a conversation with Sally Yates, the Deputy Attorney General, about it. Page was also critical of the State Department's handling of the affair, noting, rather than the State Department itself conducting that analysis or whether or not there was, or whether these emails were work-related or not, deferred to Secretary Clinton to do that. During one exchange, one of the representatives questioning her noted, we have information from the Inspector General that the intelligence community, that there were anomalies that would suggest that there were copies of every email going to a third party. Who do you think that was, guys? The Chinese. Page, no. Is that news to you today? Page admitted it was and noted it was completely baffling to me. She was then asked the obvious question, why would the investigative team not have had multiple interviews with Mr. Rucker, who brought it to the FBI's attention originally? Page responded by saying the following, my understanding is that the ICIG did refer the existence of the server to the FBI, but that was because of the existence of classified information on that server, not because of any anomalous activity, not because of potential intrusion activity, because it's not my understanding that the ICIG conducted any sort of forensic analysis like that. And we know that the FBI and nobody else did any forensic analysis on Hillary Clinton's server. The questioning continued. So what you're telling me, it would surprise you to know today that if there were anomalies, that the Inspector General's forensic team found those before it was referred to the FBI? Page responded, to the extent that a foreign government or even a criminal outlet had access to Secretary Clinton's private email, that would have been something we cared about very much. And it's my understanding that there was no evidence that would have supported that kind of conclusion. Well, there is evidence because we know definitively that the Chinese had access to Hillary Clinton's server. Page, while never actually accusing the DOJ of wrongdoing, also appeared to be no fan of the department. Some commentary from her testimony. We all felt that we, the FBI, were more credible than the Justice Department to close this investigation out. We, the whole team, really felt that the Justice Department, being led by Democrats, would be to essentially absolve the Democratic candidate. Of course they would. She is so loathed. She is a very polarizing figure, Secretary Clinton. And so we all knew it was 100% consistent and universal that she was. There was not a prosecutable case. Oh, BS. And we, the FBI, thought that that message was more credible coming from the FBI, who is independent and is not a political sort of body, in the same way that the Justice Department is being headed by political appointees who have closer relationships with the White House. Page also discussed the DOJ's reaction to Comey's decision to hold his solitary press conference. I don't honestly have the sense that the Attorney General was ultimately disappointed, because it really did let the Justice Department off the hook. Everybody talks about this as if this was the FBI investigation. And the truth of the matter is that there was not a single step other than the July 5th statement. There was not a single investigative step that we did not do in consultation with or at the direction of the Justice Department. In relation to then Attorney General Loretta Lynch, Page had a notable observation. I am not sure she ever formally recused herself. She I think she did a half step, which I think she's been criticized for, which was that she didn't fully sort of step away from the investigation following the tarmac incident. She said that she would defer to the sort of judgment of the career prosecutor. So I wouldn't, we can call that a recusal if that's how you want to frame it, but I don't know that that would legally be considered a recusal. Of particular note throughout the interview was the discussion of intent. Page noted that what she was there looking for was an intent to mishandle classified information. She continued, I cannot point to anything with respect to what the team uncovered that spoke to her having an intent to mishandle classified information. Well, we all know that it doesn't matter. Intent is not part of it, okay? I didn't intend to smash into your car. I didn't intend to steal this from the store. I didn't intend to break the law, but it doesn't matter because I broke the law. Okay, you break the law, you have to pay. We neither had sufficient evidence to charge gross negligence, nor had it ever been done because the department viewed it as constitutionally vague. Isn't it amazing that you can be vague when it comes to politicians, to people of power, all right? But then when it comes to just normal people, it doesn't matter. They will come down on you. These people have no conscience, all right? And in an effort to make an example, to prove that they are, upholding the law, they will do whatever they can, all right? People will be allowed to break the law, run rampant over it. Politicians, people of power. It's disgusting. The reference to the Justice Department would be repeated multiple times without Page noting. We had multiple conversations with the Justice Department about bringing a gross negligence charge. And that's, as I said, the advice that we got from the department was that they did not think that it was constitutionally vague and not sustainable. This was the rationale as to why every single person on the team, whether FBI or DOJ, knew far earlier than July that we were not going to be able to make out sufficient evidence to charge a crime. As to whether a charge could be brought under the gross negligence statute, Page noted that's a determination made by the Department of Justice. Notably, this determination was made before Clinton or anybody else had been interviewed by the FBI. One representative pointed out that subject might be able to provide the missing element of intent during a yet-to-be-had interview, but Page made clear the full impact of the DOJ's position. Let's assume things were going swimmingly. And in fact, all 17 of those witnesses admit, we did it. It was on purpose. We totally wanted to mishandle classified information. Gross negligence would still have been off the table because of the department's assessment that it was vague. You gotta be kidding me. We have other crimes to charge now, but gross negligence would not have been among them. Page admitted that it was not entirely clear what the DOJ decision was based on, noting, I presume they looked at a case law in which it had been applied. I really don't know. I don't have personal knowledge about what the department did in order to come to that conclusion. When pressed, Page attempted to clarify the FBI's position on investigators, saying that at the end of the day, this is the department's determination. It is up to the department to determine whether we have sufficient evidence to charge a case. Later, she was a bit more direct. The Justice Department brings charges, and it was the Justice Department's assessment that they did not have, whether they had, I don't know, whether they had evidence or not of gross negligence, but that gross negligence was not available as a statute to bring because it's of constitutional vagueness and its untestedness in court. How many hundreds of years of case law do we have on the books, you guys? John Carlin was an assistant attorney general at the head of the DOJ's National Security Division. He had previously served as chief of staff to then FBI Director Robert Mueller. Carlin announced his resignation the day after he filed the government's proposed 2016 Section 702 certifications. This filing would be subject to intense criticism from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, following disclosures made by the NSA Director Mike Rogers. Significant changes to the handling of raw FISA data would result. Carlin was replaced with Mary McCord, who would later accompany acting AG Sally Yates to the White House counsel Don McGahn regarding Trump's national security advisor, General Michael Flynn. Page was asked at several points regarding influence from political appointees. At one point in the discussion, she singled out Carlin, and what she had to say proved interesting. I do know that at least John Carlin, for example, who was a political appointee, was kept abreast of the sort of investigative activity that was going on. And the only reason I know this is because where there was conflicts between us and DOJ, John might call over to Andy McCabe and sort of make his team's pitch, and then Andy would, sort of back and forth would go on. So it is clear that John was getting some sort of briefing, but he was not. It never occurred by the FBI, which is, in my view, atypical. So who was briefing John Carlin? In response to a question asking who was McCabe's direct counterpart at the DOJ on the investigation, Page responded it would have been John. It was either John Carlin or George Toscas who would have reached out to Mr. McCabe. The congressional staffer who was doing this particular line of questioning appeared to attempt to mitigate the information just revealed by Page. Numerous witnesses have confirmed to us that George Toscas, a career prosecutor, was in charge of the day-to-day operations of DOJ on this investigation, and that Carlin and other political folks have had him briefing, certainly, so they had knowledge, but they didn't have input in the investigation. Do you have any personal knowledge of John Carlin, Loretta Lynch, Sally Yates, or other political appointees at the DOJ issuing orders on how to conduct the mid-year investigation? Page answered that she had no personal knowledge of that. Despite the attempts to shift the conversation, these admissions are notable. All right, so this is going to go on for a lot longer, guys. I'm going to skip this now that we got some more people in here. I want to talk about the yellow vests, guys. Jim Acosta has proven that the wall works. That's right. All right, so I want to talk about the yellow vests. Who here in the chat has a yellow vest? Does anybody have a yellow vest that they can wear? Because someone, oh my God, my Twitter is locked out again. Okay. Someone sent me something on Twitter. Where is it? Okay, here it is. Okay, so they said too many people in the movement are waiting for other people to make the first move. If we all just started telling people to wear the yellow vest on the 19th to the 25th and spread the word far and wide, it will catch on. So this person is asking that everyone wear yellow vests between the dates of January 19th and January 25th. I need to get one myself, David. But I think that this would... Crystal... I think that this would work really well if there was something that was organized. But who's going to organize it, guys? I guess that's why I'm putting it out there. Is there anybody out there who's willing to organize a yellow vest protest? I mean, this is why I've got this article up here. Let's look at this. Yellow vest protesters continue their roundabout fight. A roundabout next to the busiest of France's motorways has been transformed into a symbol of the yellow vest revolt, and the protesters camped out here for the past 2 months are digging in for the long haul. 2 months. Can you believe that this has been going on for 2 months? With its makeshift grocery, camp beds, and community spirit, the large central island, about 60 kilometers north of Paris, is home to dozens of yellow vest protesters who gather there day in, day out to organize their fight against the French government. like the reflective safety vests, occupied roundabouts have become a trademark of the protest movement shaking up France. Ahead of a ninth straight weekend of planned protests in Paris and across France, demonstrators in Senlis are adamant that they are digging in for the long haul. Yes, if anybody wants to buy a Q shirt, you can go to Mike's website, SpaceShot76. You can find that on his YouTube. I think that it's only a matter of time before this yellow vest movement comes to America. I mean, I've heard of people being seen wearing them, but obviously it's not out in the mainstream media. So I don't know. Have you guys seen anybody wearing yellow vests? Has that been a thing? I've seen pictures of people on Twitter with it. I looked into it. You can buy these at like Walmart. You can buy them at different like safety stores. If you just search yellow vests, yeah, Patriot Lady Biker can get them for you. All right. I've got a couple of notable things I wanted to talk about. Oh, that's right. So tomorrow, you guys, I totally forgot to tell you. Tomorrow, do you remember the story about Bree right here? Bree Payton and then John Burroughs, the two anchors? Well, if you don't remember, then I've got a video about them. You can go check it out on my channel. But essentially, we had a couple of reporters die in a very short period of time. There was a woman who was an anchor woman from Detroit. Okay, she killed herself. She had children. And she had surgery. She had LASIK surgery on her eyes. And she apparently was in so much pain that she killed herself. I find that very hard to believe because she was, by all rights, she had a very successful life. She had a beautiful family. And she killed herself because she couldn't deal with her eyes. All right. And then you had the woman down in Ohio that I reported on. She was found shot to death with her uncle in his trailer in like someplace in Ohio. I don't know where. There's been no leads on that. No follow-ups. Then, of course, you had the death of Chris Burroughs. Well, I have been speaking to someone who worked with Chris Burroughs, who was close personal friends with him, who worked with him on a story related to J.C. Dugard. Do you guys remember that story? J.C. Lee Dugard. Let's look it up. I want to... J.C. Dugard. Okay, so J.C. Dugard, it was a kidnapping. She was kidnapped from South Lake Tahoe, California when she was 11 years old. She was abducted from a street while walking home to a school bus stop. Searches began immediately after her disappearance, but no reliable leads were generated despite the fact that her stepfather, Carl Probin, witnessed her kidnapping and chased the kidnappers on his mountain bike. Dugard remained missing until 2009 when a convicted sex offender, Philip Garrido, visited the University of California campus in Berkeley accompanied by two girls on August 24th and 25th of that year. The unusual behavior of the trio sparked an investigation that led Garrido's parole officer to order him to take the two girls to a parole office in Concord. All right, so yeah, he like was trying to pretend like they were his kids, but he'd had them for a long time. And then I think that he like actually like he had a child with this girl. So sad. Well, Chris Burroughs and the gentleman that I'm speaking with, they were close friends. They worked together. This guy knows Chris. He knows that he is not a drug addict, that he was not a drug addict. All right, so he's going to be on the show tomorrow night. All right, tomorrow is going to be a little bit tighter ship, my normal show. But I do appreciate everybody for being here tonight. Now, this is a follow-up to the investigation with Chris, you guys. I'm going to switch from my mic to my monitor, and we're going to listen to the video, okay?
About the sudden death of local television news anchor Chris Burrows. Burrows was found unresponsive inside a room at a Days Inn in Glendale Thursday afternoon. Police say a friend called 911 and told dispatchers he may have overdosed. Burrows was taken to the hospital where he later died. Burrows' colleagues at KTLA are devastated by his shocking death.
If there was one thing that he did, he loved his family so much. Yeah, he loved that little girl, and he was a great dad to her.
I don't know that Isabella will hear this, but I hope she knows how much he loved her.
Chris Burrows was 43 years old. He was raised in California, graduated from Chapman University, and anchored the weekend morning news for KTLA. He leaves behind his wife and a young daughter.
All right, guys. So super sad. Super sad. That guy, he looked like a really nice guy. And my source, from what he's telling me, he was a really genuine person, okay? Full of life, not a drug addict. All right, so I want to know what he was working on at the time that he passed away. We also know from my last report that Chris Burrows was the first person on the scene at what was that? The bar, the Borderline bar. What did he witness? All right, that wasn't all that long ago. Now, I mean, we've spoken before about the horrible heroin and fentanyl epidemic that the United States is going through right now, and I know that it's a lot more common than it used to be, people doing heroin. But all I can say is that there is a better way out there, you guys. If anybody out there is struggling, then I suggest that you reach out to somebody, okay? Because you're not alone. You don't have to live like that. And, people make mistakes, all right? You can come back from that. It might be difficult, but you don't have to live like that. Johanna, you want to tell us about the Flynn briefing? Did anybody else see the live Flynn briefing? All right, so an autopsy has been performed. An autopsy has been completed on KTLA 5 weekend anchor Chris Burrows, who was found unconscious in a Glendale motel room and later pronounced dead at a hospital, but a cause of death has not yet been determined. A cause of death was deferred pending further investigation, Sarah Ardolani of the coroner's office said Friday. It often takes several weeks to get the toxicology results. Saturday's KTLA morning newscast marked the first weekend without Burrows and was dedicated to his memory as his tearful co-anchors shared clips and memories. Early on, a representative of the Torrance Rose Float Association announced plans to include a remembrance of the veteran anchor on its float during the New Year's Day parade, an event Burrows was scheduled to cover. Now, he doesn't look like a drug addict, you guys. I got to be honest. When it said that he died in a motel room, and he had a wife and child at home, the first thing I thought was that he was there to get drugs. But I just don't see it with this guy. I'll hold reserve judgment for the toxicology report, but I just don't see it. Richard Steller, a guest blogger for the Rap.com entertainment news website, was among those who continue to post tributes, photos, and other commemorations online. He would bond with people, returning military veterans, parents of all ill children, immigrants, Steller wrote under the headline, "Why I'll Miss KTLA's Citizen Journalist." Police were contacted at 1:15 p.m. Thursday by a caller who said he was a man who he was with at the Days Inn, 450 Pioneer Drive, had passed out and was possibly not breathing, according to Sergeant Dan Suttles of the Glendale Police Department. A dispatcher gave the man instructions on how to perform CPR, and he was attempting to administer emergency aid when firefighters arrived. Oh, so this guy was there. No, I know, Crystalline, a drug addict can look like anybody, but I'm just saying, from everything that I have heard from a person who was very close with Chris, who worked with him, and who knew him for years, he doesn't believe it. So I guess maybe my vision is clouded by everything this gentleman has told me. But you're right. A drug addict can look like anybody. It's insidious, and it's even worse. It's even worse because of medicine, pills. We have an over-medicated population here, you guys. Doctors have people on way too much stuff. And, it makes it very easy for someone to drop dead like that. The original call to police stated Burroughs may have overdosed, but detectives will await the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office final report for a determination of the cause of death, Suttle said. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the Burroughs family, KTLA President and General Manager Don Corsini and News Director Jason Ball said in a joint statement. Chris loved sharing the stories of Southern California and connecting with our viewers. He will be remembered as a great journalist and a wonderful friend to many. He brought a kindness to his work and will be deeply missed by the entire KTLA family. Yep, and there he is. Once more. There are no words. So everybody's really broken up about this. It's very sad. I feel for his daughter. Yep. All right, so on that note, Bree Payton. Bree Payton is dead still, and nothing has come out about her death either. There is no movement. We got the report that she had H1N1, and she possibly could have had meningitis too. But nothing in terms of anything else. Now, the thing that really bothers me is that there's no follow-up on the gentleman that was with Chris Burroughs when he passed away. David, I'm saying maybe he was offed. I'm saying that he was first on the scene at the borderline shooting. He, by all rights, seemed to be a person who was not using drugs. But, we can't tell. We're not going to know. But Bree Payton, I'm saying definitely I think she was offed. Somebody definitely took her out. All right, so we have some conflicting information about Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg today. This article from the Santa Monica Observer. Stricken with pneumonia, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is about to retire from the Supreme Court. As any reader of the Santa Monica Observer knew last September, and this is the paper where I got the article about Ruth Bader Ginsburg saying that she was going to retire. Defango TV says James Browder, Jordan Sather, microchip started Q as a joke. They have zero evidence besides their word. Thoughts? He doesn't shut up about it. Defango has put some stuff forward. I can't believe Jordan Sather started Q. That's the first I've heard about that. James, thank you for the super chat. I really do appreciate that, buddy. The deep state's trying to deep six me. I think that those who talk the loudest are probably those who have something to hide or who just want attention. I don't believe that the people who are posting right now are Defango. I don't know that Defango was ever Q. I do, however, believe that Q and the Q team are connected to the president. I think that it's too obvious. We'll go through some proofs here in a moment after we go through the Q posts of the day. But they are definitely connected to the president. I just don't think there's any way around it. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the 85-year-old Supreme Court justice, had surgery as quietly as possible on December 22nd, 2018. Following surgery, she has developed complications including pneumonia. Pneumonia often afflicts elderly post-surgery patients in the U.S. since antibiotics have resulted in multi-resistant strains of the lung infection. The left and the mainstream media have tried to put on a brave face as Ginsburg missed 3 straight days of arguments this week, interviewing cancer doctors to say that she would recover. They claimed that she was working in her hospital room, knowing that it was untrue. Anybody here ever had half their lung taken out? I hope not. But that is a major operation. Does anybody truly believe that she would be working on Supreme Court stuff if she had just had her lung removed or a portion of her lung removed? Have you guys ever had a surgery? I had surgery on my wrist, okay? And I was out. I was out for a couple of days, all right? If you have surgery on your like thoracic area, that is incredibly invasive, all right? I cannot believe that she is working at all. I don't even think she's conscious if she's alive, and I tend to think that she's probably not alive. Or that at the very least, that she is being kept alive on a breathing machine, especially if she's got pneumonia. No one in the media or in the Democratic Party want to face the awful truth that President Donald Trump is about to replace one of the court's most liberal justices. Yes! Please, God, please give us that super solid majority. When he broke the news in September, which he obtained from a confidential source in Justice Ginsburg's inner circle, the left went on attack. This was the original story. Right here. It was Justice Ginsburg telling some of her aides that the cancer had come back and that she was going to have to retire after the first of the year. Snopes labeled our prediction that Ginsburg would undergo cancer surgery, then retire fake news. Sadly, it wasn't. Political stakes are very high when a Supreme Court member retires or resigns. A new 50-year-old justice could be on the bench for 40 years, and there are only 9 justices. In the wake of the bruising Brett Kavanaugh confirmation battle, Democrats have proposed altering the number of justices on the High Court to 18. That's too many. And also to limit them to one 18-year term. The number of Supreme Court justices is not set forth in the Constitution. Another proposal would have Supreme Court justices rotate in from the circuit courts of appeal. What do you guys think? Do you think that Supreme Court justices should have a limitation? I don't know. I think that it would probably be a good thing if we had liberals completely taking over the Supreme Court. But now that we have the opportunity to stack it with conservative constitutionalists more than anything, I think that that's probably a good idea. All right. Now, here's the conflicting stuff. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has no signs of cancer and will return to the Supreme Court. What? I like the Epoch Times. But this article, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg will miss arguments for a second week, but officials said that her recovery is on track. Thumbs up, guys. Her recovery from surgery is on track. The 85-year-old associate justice underwent surgery to recover 2 cancerous growths from her lung on December 21st. Post-surgery evaluation indicates no evidence of remaining disease and no further treatment is required. I was just waiting for that to be her face. During her recovery, according to NPR, she will participate in cases before the Supreme Court from her home. She will use briefs and transcripts of arguments. This week, she missed arguments in the Supreme Court, marking her first absence since she joined the court in 1993. And I'm going to go back again to how incapacitating major surgery like that is. If she just had surgery, okay, she is going to be extremely medicated, okay, and rightfully so in this case. So you're not going to be reading. You're going to have a hard time listening to podcasts. Doctors told NPR that Ginsburg's odds of long-term survival are around 80%. I'm calling BS. Calling BS. According to the AP, she underwent surgery for colorectal cancer in 1999 and then pancreatic cancer in 2009. And her most recent cancer diagnosis was made after she fell down in her office, breaking 3 ribs in November. Here is my prediction on that. I think that she knew she had cancer, and the breaking your ribs, falling down, that was very convenient. All right? I think that they did that as a cover story so that they could get her into the hospital and then say, oops, we found cancer. And now they can go ahead and safely remove it. Yes, likely on a ventilator. She's definitely on a ventilator. Ginsburg, the eldest justice on the court, will turn 86 in March. Her health has been a matter of public concern due to the balance of the court, which is divided 5-4 among Republican and Democratic nominees. If she retires, President Donald Trump will likely name her successor, solidifying a conservative majority in the nation's highest court. Justice Ginsburg is unable to be present today, but will participate in the consideration and decision of the cases on the basis of the briefs and the transcripts of oral arguments. Arberg previously said that she will be working from home. Not likely. Yes, Q did say that she got experimental drugs. Dr. John Lazar, the head of thoracic robotic surgery at MedStar Washington Hospital, said it's not uncommon to see slow-growing lung cancers in women in their 80s. If she doesn't need anything but the surgery, it's a very good sign. Ginsburg's previous battles with cancer were so long ago, and they're unlikely to be related. Whatever. She's probably got... Her whole body's riddled with cancer, I'm sure. After she fell down and broke her ribs, President Trump wished Ginsburg a speedy recovery. I wish her well. She said something very inappropriate during the campaign, but she apologized for it, he told reporters in November. I wouldn't say she's exactly on my side, but I wish her well. I hope she gets better, and I hope she serves on the Supreme Court for many years. Pardon me. During the 2016 presidential campaign, Ginsburg slammed Trump and called him a faker, an unusual move for a Supreme Court justice. She later apologized. In July, Ginsburg said she wants to stay on the bench past 2020. I'm now 85, Ginsburg told CNN. My senior colleague, Justice John Paul Stevens, has stepped down when he was 90, so think I have at least 5 more years. Ginsburg graduated from Columbia Law School. Her husband, Martin Ginsburg, died in 2010 due to complications of metastatic cancer. All right, well, on that note, I think it's time we get into the Q post, guys. Now that we're going to read the Q post, if anybody, that was my bad impersonation at a Trump voice, Barbara. If everybody would be so kind as to please share this one more time. Get this out there on your social media. Where are my mods? Oh, yeah, that's right. I was going to give away some mods. Who wants to be a mod? Who wants to be a mod? I'm giving away mod pods. Mod spots. Who has been a mod before that knows how to mod that would like to be a mod? What does that entail? Well, being a mod basically means that you go into my chat, you kind of like, police people. If people are being jerks, then you ask them to stop talking about that stuff or whatever. You make sure you share this stuff. You make sure that, okay, no, there's nobody here who wants to be a mod. All right, fine. No, I'm old. Bill, we're just glad you're here. Okay, Tyrone. There you go. First one. Thank you, Tyrone. All right, so it's time for the Q posts. Okay. Let's see. What is today's date? The 11th. We're going to start right here. 2668. Okay. Melissa. Add moderator. Truth matters. You're a moderator. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. 4 booms. I saw a theory on Twitter today that someone thought that these 4 booms could be referring to 4 Supreme Court justices. So we had Justice Gorsuch. We have Justice Kavanaugh. We're going to have Justice maybe Amy Coney Barrett as the replacement for Justice Ginsburg. And then we've got one more. Who could that be? Perhaps, what's his name? The Justice John Roberts. Roberts might be retiring due to his past indiscretions. You guys remember when Justice Roberts upheld Obamacare? completely turned on us, upheld the unconstitutional Obamacare, and that was because he was allowed to adopt those babies from another country. It was old. Yes, Justice Roberts is young, but Justice Roberts is compromised. Justice Roberts may be on his way to Gitmo. Lisa, ask me anything. All right, next. If you guys have any other ideas about what these booms could be, I'd like to hear it. Okay, I saw a theory based on this picture here. Q asks, awaiting VIP arrival. What senior U.S. official is arriving in China? Purpose. Q. So I did some digging, and the obvious answer is that somebody from the State Department was going there. I have to cough. One moment. But an anon had suggested that perhaps this person right here was Nancy Pelosi. Anybody seen Nancy Pelosi around? Was she on the news today? No, the adoption does not seem as bad as plenty of stuff, but the point is that it was an illegal adoption. They went and picked themselves up some babies and they paid for them. That's the part that's bad. I'm not saying that Judge Roberts and his wife are not good parents, but, you know, you can't be a Supreme Court justice. You can't be, like, the leader of the Supreme Court and then just go buy some babies. I mean, I suppose that you can with these people. Oh, there goes my account locked. We're going to get rid of that right there. Okay. So maybe that's Nancy Pelosi. Who else? Oh, you guys, you know what else I want to watch tonight, guys? Or maybe I'll save this for tomorrow. The reenactments of the Judicial Watch depositions for Hillary Clinton, or Huma Abedin. Okay, so next, Ruth Bader Ginsburg in the news a day after the Q drop. Q proof. We're going to read through this post on Ruth Bader Ginsburg. RBG. Why was she selected? Who appointed her? Remember her history. She wrote that awful book about sex and gender. Remember her history. Reference 230-page book called Sex Bias in the U.S. Code, published in 1977 by the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. Highlights. It called for sex integration of prisons and reformatories so that conditions of imprisonment, security, and housing could be equal. She explained, if the grand design of such institutions is to prepare inmates for return to the community as persons equipped to benefit from and contribute to civil society, then perpetuation of single-sex institutions should be rejected. Not even a good idea at all. I said it last time. Can you guys just imagine the situation we'd have on our hands if there were sex-integrated prisons? You've got people that are already there for perhaps some, violent things. And I think that anybody who is weaker in prison probably ends up getting themselves manhandled in one way or another. At what point is it mathematically impossible? Q is asking about the fact of the proofs. Q posts about RBG. Next day, RBG has cancer. The very next day, Red Castle, Green Castle, public access to intel. Q is giving us the public access that we so desperately want. Red Castle, Green Castle, that is the Army Corps of Engineers. They will be building the wall. And lastly, next Supreme Court nomination to be a woman. The Senate confirms Supreme Court nominations. And who has control of the Senate? We do. If a woman is selected as the nominee, does that eliminate the wrap-up smear regarding sexual assault? Yes, it does. Pelosi and her ilk can't do the wrap-up smear on Amy Coney Barrett like they did on Justice Kavanaugh. What other tactics might be planned to block and or force name removal? Well, they went after Amy Coney Barrett for her politics previously. They went after her for being anti-abortion, or for being pro-life, shall I say. Yes, Ruth Bader Ginsburg wanted to basically legalize pedophilia. It says it right here, that she wanted to reduce the age of consent to 12, if I'm not mistaken. She's a horrible, horrible person. Why is the Senate important? Because the Senate confirms the Supreme Court nominations. Who controls the Senate? We do. 53 to 47. Enjoy the show. Yes. Oh, my account. They really messed with me today, you guys. I'm like not feeling on top of my game. They completely rattled me. So here's something I wanted to talk about. This is you guys saw my report that one of the first things that Ron DeSantis did is he removed Scott Israel from his position as sheriff. Well, this is the actual order, the executive order from the office of the governor. Scott Israel is presently serving as sheriff of Broward County. Pursuant to the Florida statute, sheriffs be conservatives of the peace in their respective counties. Sheriffs are responsible for appointing command staff. These are all the different things that a sheriff is supposed to do. Prior to the shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, Broward County Sheriff's Office had a total of 21 interactions with the shooter, including 2 incidents that an internal affairs investigation later found warranted additional follow-up. The first of the above incidents occurred in February 2016 when the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooter posted a picture of a gun with a similar statement to, "I want to get this gun when I turn 18 and shoot up the school." Broward County Deputy Eason, acting on behalf of and in place of Sheriff Israel, did not complete an incident report, but instead noted in CAD, "No threats noted," and info forwarded to Peterson at school. No threats noted when this kid said that he wanted to use his pistol and shoot up the school. The second of the above incidents occurred in November 2017 when Broward County Sheriff's Officer received a call from the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooter had weapons and wanted to join the military to kill people, and that he might be a Columbine in the making and was a threat to kill himself. Acting on behalf of and in place of Sheriff Israel did not complete an incident report. Again, no incident report for the second thing. February 14th, 2018. Deputy Scott Peterson was at all times acting on behalf of and in place of Sheriff Israel while serving at the school resource office at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. He decided to not engage the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooter. Therefore, a bunch of people died. Sheriff Israel is responsible for that. Sheriff Israel cannot fulfill the duties of his job. So he was removed. As soon as this executive order was released, Governor DeSantis got into a plane and was flying there to serve it. And his plane has an emergency while it's in the air. This seems way too coincidental. A mechanical problem forced a state airplane carrying Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to make an emergency landing in Largo on Friday afternoon. DeSantis, who was on the way to Fort Lauderdale for a news conference, and everyone else on board were unharmed. Dave Vasquez, DeSantis' spokesman, said he could not say what went wrong with the plane, which landed at a St. Pete Clearwater International Airport. The plane is operated by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, which referred questions to the governor's office. Attorney General Ashley Moody, DeSantis' chief of staff, Shane Strum, and 3 members of his executive staff were on board. The emergency stop was the latest reminder that DeSantis, who took office on Tuesday, is living with his predecessor's legacy. Former Governor Rick Scott sold the state's fleet of airplanes shortly after taking office in 2010, which has left DeSantis to crisscross the state this week using a Beechcraft King Air seized by state police on a drug raid. So they're using a drug dealer's plane. Who knows who had that before Ron was flying on it? Well, today's incident, combined with the sheer size of our state, starkly reminds us that we need a safe and reliable means of transportation for the chief executive, Olivia said in a statement. The House stands ready to work with the governor's office to ensure such transportation is obtained. Details on the small twin turboprop plane DeSantis had been using have been hard to come by. An FDLE spokesperson said would not or could not say this week whether or when the King Air was seized or what state police have been using it for. It's equipped with sophisticated surveillance equipment, including a rotating camera module commonly found on drones and military planes, state records show. According to the camera's manufacturer, the device is ideal for medium altitude court intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. Because details on the plane are so scarce, it's unclear how old it is and how many people it seats. But it's unlike one of the planes top officials are used to have. Until Scott took office, Florida's governor, lieutenant governor, and cabinet members had access to 3 small planes to get around the state, including a King Air. Scott, a multimillionaire, used his own jet while governor, and his decision to sell the planes within days of taking office forced the state's attorney general, agriculture commissioner, and chief financial officer to use cars and commercial planes to get around Florida. It also led to the firing of 11 pilots and staff. Oh, man. But use of the planes for non-official business was a source of frequent controversy, and during his campaign, Scott used the issue against his Republican and Democratic opponents in television ads. Former state officials still say having a state fleet is important to get around the nation's 3rd most populous state. If you were to drive from Pensacola to Key West, that would be an 830-mile trip. Former Agriculture Commissioner Charlie Bronson, who served between 2001 and 2010, said Friday that he considered having access to planes essential to the job. I would say that planes are very essential if you're the governor or you are in the governor's top positions there. And I find it really distressing that as soon as he wants to go firing Israel, that they immediately have to land the plane. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. 5 justices total. You're saying that we should only have 5 justices on the Supreme Court total? Oh, guys. All right, my throat is getting really scratchy, you guys. I'm starting to run out of steam. I have to save my voice for tomorrow night. Now that I have all of these bugs worked out, I'm going to do a test story midway through the day tomorrow so that I can, make sure that everything works right. Stop in and say hi if you want to. And then at 9 o'clock tomorrow night, I am going to do my regular Saturday Night Live show. If anybody has any story ideas or anything that they want to send me that they want me to promote or show off, your own personal thing, something that you find cool, then go ahead and send it to me on Twitter. You can also send it to my email, redpill78@protonmail.com. I hope everyone had a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining me. Once again, I am redpill78, the corruption detector, and this was Friday Night Live. We'll see you all tomorrow.